My name is Nana May. I'm 62 years old, and the sentence my daughter-in-law said at that dinner table destroyed my family in under 10 seconds. You're not even half the woman my mother is. The room went silent. No clinking forks. No chewing. No breathing. Just that sentence, hanging in the air like a slap no one expected. I felt it before I understood it. That sharp pressure in the chest. The heat rising to my face. The way your ears start ringing when your heart breaks in real time. I looked at my son first. Daniel. He didn't defend me. He didn't even look at me. He just stared at his plate. That's when I pushed my chair back. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Slowly. Because when a woman my age stands up like that, it means something is about to end. And something else is about to begin. We were supposed to be celebrating. That's the part that still hurts the most. It was Sunday dinner. My house. My table. The same dining set I'd used for 25 years. The same one I cleaned with my own hands that afternoon. I cooked her favorite dishes. Because I always tried. Even when she never did. Smells amazing, Mom, Daniel had said earlier, giving me a quick hug. Not a long one. Not the kind he used to give. But I smiled anyway. Because mothers do that. We survive on crumbs of affection. She arrived late. Of course she did. High heels clicking on my floor like she owned the place. Perfect hair. Perfect makeup. Perfect smile that never quite reached her eyes. Sorry we're late, she said casually. Traffic. Always traffic. She didn't help in the kitchen. Didn't ask if I needed anything. Just sat down and crossed her legs. Like a queen inspecting her court. Dinner started politely. Too politely. That kind of politeness that feels tight. Forced. Fragile. So how's work going? I asked her. She smiled thinly. Oh, busy. My mother's been helping us a lot lately. I nodded. That's nice. That was my mistake. Because that's when she leaned back in her chair and said it. Loud enough. Clear enough. You know, Daniel, she said, turning to my son. Sometimes I'm just so grateful I was raised by a strong woman. A real woman. I felt my stomach drop. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. Yeah. And then she looked at me. Straight at me. And said it. You're not even half the woman my mother is. I swear to you. Time slowed down. I saw the condensation on my water glass. The tiny crack in the wall behind her head. The way my hands trembled just slightly on the table. My own home. My own table. My own son sitting right there. And no one said a word. I waited. 1 second. 2. Surely Daniel would say something. Hey, that's my mom. Don't talk to her like that. Anything. But he didn't. He just sat there. Silent. And that silence, that was worse than her words. That's when I pushed my chair back. The sound scraped against the floor. Sharp and final. She smirked. Actually smirked. What? She said. I'm just being honest. Honest. I looked at her then. Really looked. And I realized something terrifying. She hadn't slipped. She'd been waiting. Waiting for the moment she could say it out loud. Waiting for the moment she felt powerful enough. And judging by the way my son didn't move, she thought she'd already won. I stood up straight. My heart was pounding, but my voice surprised me. Calm. Low. Controlled. Get out of my chair, I said. She blinked. What? My chair, I repeated. The one you're sitting in. The one I bought. In the house I paid for. Daniel finally looked up. Mom, please. I raised my hand. Don't, I said quietly. Not yet. She laughed softly. Wow. Sensitive much. Sensitive. After everything I'd done for them. The babysitting. The money. The sacrifices. The way I swallowed my pride again. And again just to keep peace. Sensitive. I leaned forward slightly. And since we're being honest, I said, you should know something. Her smile faltered. Just a little. This house, I continued. This comfort, this life you're enjoying, it didn't come from strength. I looked at Daniel. It came from sacrifice. His jaw tightened. She opened her mouth to interrupt me. I didn't let her. And if you think humiliating me at my own table makes you powerful, I said softly, then you have no idea who you just challenged. The room felt heavy now. Dangerous. She crossed her arms. Oh, please. What are you going to do? Cry. Play the victim. I straightened fully. No, I said. I'm going to stop pretending. Daniel stood up. Mom, can we talk later? I looked at him. Really looked. At the man I raised. The boy who used to hide behind my legs. This is later, I said. I walked to the end of the table. Each step felt deliberate. Final. And before I left the room, I turned back. You're right about one thing, I said, meeting her eyes. I'm not half the woman your mother is. She smiled again, until I finished. I'm the woman who built everything you're standing on, and I'm the woman who can take it back. Her smile disappeared. Daniel's face went pale, and in that moment, I knew this dinner wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning of a war. The worst part wasn't what she said. It was what happened after. The silence that followed me down the hallway. The sound of no one coming after me. No footsteps. No apology. No, Mom, wait. I stood in my bedroom, hands pressed against the dresser, breathing like I'd just run a mile. 62 years old, and shaking in my own house. I waited. I counted to 10, then 20, then 100. Nothing. Finally, I heard it. Laughter. Her laugh. Soft. Amused. Coming from the dining room. That laugh did something ugly to me. It told me she wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't scared. She was satisfied. When Daniel finally came to my door, it was almost an hour later. He knocked once. Softly. Mom. I didn't answer. He knocked again. Please. I opened the door just enough to look at him. His shoulders were slumped. His eyes red. But not from anger. From confusion. And confusion is dangerous. Why didn't you defend me? I asked. Straight to the point. He swallowed. I didn't want to make it worse. Worse. I laughed once. Short. Bitter. Daniel. She told me I wasn't half a woman. In my own house. At my own table. What part of that gets worse? He rubbed his face. She didn't mean it like that. That sentence. That excuse. It felt familiar. Like I'd heard it before, just with different words. Did she apologize? I asked. He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. No, I whispered. She said I'm too sensitive, he admitted quietly, and that her mother taught her to be honest. Honest. I nodded slowly. So now I'm the problem? No, he stopped himself. Because he knew. That night I didn't sleep. Not because I was angry. Because I was afraid. Afraid of what happens when a son starts choosing peace over truth. Afraid of what happens when a woman realizes she can say anything and get away with it. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. That's how she operated. She came into the kitchen smiling, pouring herself coffee. Good morning, she chirped. I didn't respond. Daniel hovered near the counter like a referee. She sighed dramatically. Are we still doing this? Doing what? Existing? I told Daniel, she continued, stirring her coffee. I was raised differently. My mother believes strong women don't tiptoe around feelings. I finally looked at her. And strong women don't humiliate elders for sport. She smiled. That's your interpretation. That's when I realized something important. This wasn't about misunderstanding. This was a test. And she was watching to see who would win. Later that afternoon, Daniel asked me to sit down. Just the two of us. I need you to try, he said carefully, to understand her. I stared at him. Daniel, I raised you alone after your father died. I worked 2 jobs. I sold my jewelry to pay your tuition. I swallowed grief so you could grow up safe. My voice cracked. What part of that makes me less of a woman? He looked down. I didn't say that. But you didn't stop her. That evening, she made her next move. Subtle. Strategic. She invited her mother over. No warning. No discussion. Just suddenly she was there. Sitting in my living room. Looking around like she was evaluating the place. Her mother smiled at me politely. So this is the house, she said. The house. Not your house. Daniel didn't correct her. Dinner was worse than the night before. Every comment was layered. My daughter has always been outspoken. We believe in saying things directly in our family. She's very strong-willed. Each sentence felt like a verdict. I noticed something then. They weren't just insulting me. They were replacing me. After dinner, I overheard them talking in the kitchen. Her voice was low, controlled. If you don't set boundaries now, she said to Daniel, She'll keep inserting herself. Her mother added, "This is how control starts." Control. About me. In my own home. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just rudeness. It was repositioning. Undermining my role. Isolating my son. Rewriting family hierarchy. Classic. Calculated. And terrifying. That night, Daniel came to me again. "She thinks maybe it's time we get our own place," he said softly. I felt like I'd been punched. "Oh," I said quietly. "And when were you planning to tell me?" He hesitated. "She suggested it today." "Of course she did." "Daniel," I said, choosing my words carefully, "there's nothing wrong with building your own life." He nodded quickly. "But there is something wrong with erasing the woman who built the foundation for it." Silence. Then he said it. "I just want everyone to stop fighting." That sentence. That's when I knew. The loyalty test had begun, and I was already losing. Later that night, I went to the garage. I needed air. I needed space. And that's when I saw it. A folder. On the passenger seat of Daniel's car. Not hidden. Not locked. Just there. I opened it. And my hand started shaking. Because inside were documents. House documents. My house. With notes written in her handwriting. Planning. Marking. Calculating. I closed the folder slowly. My heart pounding. She wasn't just disrespecting me. She was preparing. And suddenly, her words at dinner made sense. "You're not even half the woman my mother is." Because in her mind, I was already gone. I didn't confront him right away. That was my mistake. I closed the car door quietly. Too quietly. Because when a woman like her starts moving pieces, every second of silence works in her favor. I went back inside the house and sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my hands. These hands had fed my son, held him when his father died, signed every school form, paid every bill, and now those same hands were shaking. I replayed the folder in my mind, the notes in her handwriting, the dates, the calculations. This wasn't curiosity. This was preparation. She had been planning. For how long? The next morning, I waited until she left for work. Then I called Daniel into the living room. He sat across from me, nervous already. "Mom, what's wrong?" I slid the folder onto the table. His face drained of color. "Explain," I said. Just one word. Explain. He opened his mouth, closed it, ran a hand through his hair. "It's not what you think." There it was, the sentence that ends trust. "How long?" I asked quietly. He swallowed. "How long have you been planning this behind my back?" He didn't answer. That was the answer. "She's just being careful," he said finally. "She likes to be prepared." Prepared to take my house? Prepared to erase me? Prepared for what? I asked. "For when I die. For when you push me out." "No," he said quickly. "She just wants security." Security. I nodded slowly. "And I'm the risk?" He leaned forward. "Mom, please. You're reading into it." I felt something cold move through my chest. "Daniel," I said softly, "I raised you to tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable." He looked away. "She thinks living together long term isn't healthy." There it was. I laughed once. Sharp. Broken. "She moved into my house. She eats my food. She disrespects me at my table." I leaned closer. "And now I'm the unhealthy part?" He rubbed his face. "She thinks you're too attached. Too attached. To my son. To my home. To my life." I stood up slowly. "You didn't defend me at dinner," I said. "You didn't defend me the next day. And now you're defending documents meant to protect her from me." He looked up. "Mom." I raised my hand. No. My voice surprised even me. This was no longer about hurt. This was about survival. That afternoon, she came home early. Too early. She found us sitting in silence, the folder still on the table. Her eyes flicked to it. Just for a second. But I saw it. "Oh," she said lightly. "You found those." No panic. No shame. Just confirmation. "You went through my car?" she asked. "Not our car. My son's car." She smiled faintly. "That's a boundary issue, Nana." Boundary. The audacity almost impressed me. "Those are notes," she continued calmly. "Planning for the future. Nothing sinister." "Planning for whose future?" I asked. She glanced at Daniel. our families, and just like that, I wasn't included. I turned to my son. Did you know? He hesitated, then nodded. That nod felt heavier than any insult. When were you going to tell me? I asked. He didn't answer. She did. When it was finalized, I felt my knees weaken. So, I said slowly, you plan to remove me from my own home without even a conversation? She crossed her arms. We didn't think you'd react well. I laughed, this time louder. You insulted me, undermined me, planned behind my back. I looked at her. And this is you avoiding a reaction? She tilted her head. You're proving my point. Gaslighting. Clean. Cold. Professional. That night, I locked my bedroom door. For the first time in my own house. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to their muffled voices down the hall, whispering, planning, deciding. Without me, I cried silently, not because of her, because of him, because somewhere along the way my son stopped choosing me. The next morning, I found a note on the counter. We'll be out most of the day. No explanation, no consideration, just absence. That's when I did something I never thought I would do. I went into the study, opened the filing cabinet, and pulled out everything. House papers, old wills, bank records, documents I hadn't looked at in years, and buried inside them, I found something. Something she didn't know existed. Something that changed everything. A clause, an old agreement, one signature that wasn't hers. And suddenly, the power shifted. That evening, when they came home, I was calm. Too calm. She noticed immediately. Everything okay? She asked. I smiled. Yes, I said. And for the first time, she looked uneasy. Because when a woman who's been silent suddenly goes quiet with purpose, it means she's done being pushed and ready to push back. There's a moment when a woman stops reacting and starts observing. That moment is dangerous because it looks like surrender, but it isn't. After I found the clause, I didn't confront them. I didn't cry, didn't argue, didn't raise my voice. I made tea. I folded laundry. I asked how their day was, and she noticed. She noticed immediately, because women like her don't fear anger. They fear clarity. That evening, she sat across from me on the couch. Too close. So, she said lightly, you seem calmer. I smiled. Am I? She studied my face like she was looking for cracks. Yes, she said. Yesterday you were emotional. Emotional. That word again. Used like a diagnosis. I did some thinking, I replied. And you're right. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. About boundaries, I said. Her lips curved. Victory, too soon. I realized, I continued, that I've been holding on too tightly, trying to stay involved when maybe I should be letting go. She leaned back, satisfied. Daniel looked relieved. That hurt more than anything. I think it's time, I said gently, for you both to feel comfortable, to build your future without feeling watched. Her eyes gleamed. That's very mature of you, she said. Mature. As if dignity comes with an expiration date. From that moment on, I played the role she expected. I asked before entering rooms. I stopped offering opinions. I stayed quiet during conversations. And she relaxed. That was the key. When people think they've won, they get careless. She started leaving documents out again, talking freely in front of me, assuming I was retreating. She mistook silence for weakness. And Daniel? He softened toward me, because I wasn't difficult anymore. I was understanding. One afternoon, she sat beside me in the kitchen. I appreciate how you've been handling things, she said. Not everyone can accept change. I looked at her calmly. Change is inevitable, I replied. It's resistance that exhausts us. She smiled, because she thought I was talking about myself. But here's what she didn't know. Every night after they went to bed, I wrote everything down. Dates, times, conversations, every comment, every subtle threat, every shift in behavior. And I took photos, quietly, legally. I called my lawyer again, but not from fear, from preparation. I think they're planning to move, I said. He paused. Without you? Yes. That works in your favor, he said calmly. I closed my eyes, for the first time in weeks. I smiled. A week later, She brought up finances at dinner. Casually, Daniel and I were thinking, she said, it might make sense to restructure things. Daniel nodded. She looked at me. As a formality, she added. Formality. That's what my life had become. What kind of restructuring? I asked politely. She pulled out papers, already printed, already prepared. She slid them across the table and watched my face carefully, waiting for panic. I scanned them, then nodded. These look thorough. Her shoulders relaxed. Exactly, she said. I like things clean. Clean. Erasing people often feels that way to those doing it. I'll need some time to review, I said calmly. She hesitated. How much time? I smiled softly. Enough. That night, Daniel knocked on my door. He looked conflicted. Mom, are you okay with all this? I met his eyes. Do you want me to be honest? He nodded. I'm okay with the truth, I said. And the truth is, this was coming whether I agreed or not. He swallowed. I touched his hand. And one day, you'll understand why I stopped fighting. He didn't know what to say, because deep down, he knew something felt wrong. 2 days later, she made her mistake. A small one, but fatal. She forwarded an email to the wrong address. My address. It was a message to her mother. Detailed, confident, cruel. She's compliant now, it read. Daniel doesn't question me anymore. Once the papers are signed, we'll manage the transition. Manage. Me. I sat there staring at the screen. Heart steady. Hand still. Because now, I had proof. Not assumptions. Not interpretations. Proof. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Because the trap was set. And she had walked straight into it. The next morning, she smiled at me over coffee. Everything okay? She asked. I met her gaze. Yes, I said. And this time, she felt it. Something shifted. She frowned slightly, but she was already too deep. Later that day, my lawyer called. We're ready when you are, he said. I looked around my home. My walls. My memories. My turn, I replied. That evening, as they sat discussing weekend plans, I placed a single document on the table. Her handwriting. Her email. Printed. Highlighted. Silence fell. She stared at it. Then at me. What is this? She asked sharply. I smiled. Transparency, I said. You value honesty, remember? Daniel leaned forward, confused and scared. Her mouth opened, then closed. For the first time, she had no script. There is a special kind of humiliation that doesn't shout. It smiles. It waits until there are witnesses. She didn't explode when I placed the email on the table. That surprised me. Instead, she laughed. A soft, breathy laugh, as if I'd told a joke. I don't know what you think this proves, she said, pushing the paper aside, but this is being taken out of context. Out of context. Daniel looked between us. Mom, what's going on? She answered before I could. Your mother has been very stressed lately, she said gently. She's misreading things. Misreading. Not lying. Not accusing. Misreading. The word landed carefully, like poison wrapped in velvet. 2 days later, she invited everyone over. Family dinner. Her idea. Her timing. I should have known. The table was full. Her parents. Daniel's sister. An aunt I barely spoke to. People who didn't know the full story. People who trusted appearances. She poured wine. Smiled brightly. And then, so, she said casually, I think it's time we talked about the future. My stomach tightened. She stood, glass in hand. I want to say this with respect, she began, because I truly care about this family. Care. Another carefully chosen word. But sometimes, she continued, looking directly at me, holding on too tightly can hurt the people you love. The room went quiet. I felt eyes shift toward me. She's been struggling with change, my daughter-in-law said softly. And I worry that it's affecting Daniel. Daniel's sister frowned. What do you mean? She sighed, as if burdened, asking the same questions over and over, refusing to accept boundaries, creating tension where there doesn't need to be any. Each sentence was polished, practiced. I opened my mouth. She raised a hand. Please, she said. Let me finish. The room allowed it. That's the thing about confidence. People assume it deserves space. I respect elders, she said. I really do. But respect goes both ways. Then she turned to Daniel. Honey, tell them how hard this has been for you. My heart stopped. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. Well, it's been stressful, he said. Not cruel, but not brave either. She nodded sympathetically. See, she said. That's all I'm saying. Someone cleared their throat. Another person nodded. And just like that, the air changed. I felt it. That invisible shift where people stop seeing you as a person and start seeing you as a problem. Mom, Daniel's sister said carefully, maybe you should consider stepping back a little. Stepping back. From my own life. My own home. I looked around the table. Faces polite. Concerned. Sympathetic. But not curious. No one asked me anything. And that's when she delivered the line. The one that sliced straight through me. You're not even half the woman my mother is, she said calmly. She knows when to let go. The words hung there. Sharp. Final. Deliberate. My chest burned. My hands trembled. For a split second, I almost shrank. Almost apologized. Almost played the role they had written for me. But then, I pushed my chair back. The sound was loud. Too loud. It cut through the room like a blade. Everyone froze. I stood slowly. Heart pounding. Voice steady. I didn't realize this was a performance, I said quietly. If I had known, I would have prepared my lines. Her smile faltered. Just slightly. I have listened, I continued. I have stayed silent. I have been respectful. I looked at every face. One thing I have not been is confused. She crossed her arms. Defensive now. This is exactly what I mean, she said. This drama. Enough, I said. One word. Firm. The room went still. You want to talk about respect? I said, turning to her. Respect is not humiliation disguised as concern. I looked at Daniel. Respect is not asking someone to disappear quietly. Her mother shifted uncomfortably. Someone avoided my eyes. They felt it now. The imbalance. I raised my son, I said. I sacrificed years, health, sleep, and dreams. My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. And I will not be reduced to an obstacle because it's convenient. She opened her mouth. I raised my hand. No, I said. You've spoken enough. I reached into my bag, pulled out the printed email, the same one, and placed it gently on the table. This, I said, is not confusion. Her face drained of color. Daniel leaned forward. What is that? I met his eyes. The truth. She stood abruptly. This is private, she snapped. So was my dignity, I replied. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Real. I picked up my coat. I think I'll excuse myself, I said. But understand this. I paused at the door. You don't get to rewrite my story and call it concern. Then I left. Behind me, the room erupted. Voices overlapping. Questions. Shock. And for the first time, she wasn't in control of the narrative. But what I didn't know yet was that she had one last weapon, and she was about to use it. I woke up to silence, the kind that feels wrong. No footsteps, no kitchen sounds, no familiar rhythm of the house breathing with me. Then my phone vibrated. Once, twice, again. The first message was from a neighbor. Are you okay? The second was from a church friend. If you need help, please say something. Help with what? By the time I opened Facebook, my hands were already shaking. She hadn't tagged me. She didn't need to. The post was written delicately, lovingly, dangerously. When you love someone but can no longer protect them from themselves, sometimes the hardest choices are the most necessary. Please pray for our family as we navigate elder care decisions. Elder care, decisions, prayers. The comments were already pouring in. You're so strong. It's heartbreaking when parents refuse help. You're doing the right thing. My throat closed. She had painted me as fragile, unstable, a burden, without saying it outright. That's how modern character assassination works. No accusations, just implication. I scrolled. There was more. A photo of Daniel holding her hand. Caption: Some seasons are harder than others. I dropped the phone, sat on the edge of the bed, and felt something collapse inside me. Not loudly, quietly. The way trust does when it finally dies. By noon, people were calling, not asking, telling, you should consider downsizing. Maybe it's time to let them help. You don't want to be alone if something happens. Alone. I had never been alone. Until now. When Daniel came home, I was sitting at the table. Phone face down. Calm. He looked nervous. Mom, people are worried. I smiled. They should be. She didn't mean it like that, he said quickly. She just wanted support. Support for what? For pushing me out? I stood up, walked past him, and opened the front door. There, taped neatly to the frame, was a flyer, a local senior living brochure, highlighted, with a sticky note, just options red heart. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I laughed, a sound so hollow it startled even me. That afternoon, I went somewhere I hadn't been in years. The lawyer's office, the one my late husband trusted, the one she didn't know about. He looked up when I walked in. Nana, he said softly, it's been a long time. Yes, I replied, and it seems people have been speaking on my behalf. I laid everything out. The folder, the notes, the posts. He read quietly, then leaned back. They've made a mistake, he said. My heart skipped. What kind? He folded his hands. They assumed you were powerless. He opened a file. Yellowed. Old. Signed decades ago. My husband's handwriting. A clause I had forgotten. Or maybe never needed until now. This, he said, tapping the page, means they can't force you out. And the house? I asked. He smiled. Isn't theirs to plan with? When I got home, she was waiting. Phone in hand. Smiling. Too sweet. I hope you're not upset about the post, she said. I was just being honest. Honest. I met her eyes. So was I said calmly. When I booked an appointment this morning. Her smile froze. With who? She asked. I leaned in slightly. Someone who reads contracts very carefully. For the first time, I saw fear. Just a flicker. But enough. That night, she deleted the post. No apology. Just disappearance. But the damage was done. And she knew it. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, one thought echoed louder than the rest. She tried to bury me publicly. So now, I would respond legally. And what she didn't know yet was that the law wasn't on her side. It never had been. The law doesn't shout. It waits. That's what my husband used to say. And that night, lying awake in the dark, I finally understood what he meant. I didn't tell them where I had been. I didn't need to. Power doesn't announce itself when it returns. It settles in. Quiet. Heavy. Certain. The next morning, she was suddenly polite. Too polite. Good morning, she said brightly, sliding a cup of tea toward me. Chamomile. I know you like it. I stared at the steam rising from the cup. She had never remembered that before. Daniel watched us carefully, like a referee waiting for a foul. So, he said, forcing cheer into his voice. Everyone sleep okay? I smiled. I slept very well, I said. And for some reason that made her nervous. By afternoon, the calls stopped. No more checking in. No more concern. The silence had shifted. People sensed something. They always do. That evening, the lawyer called. I reviewed everything again, he said. And Nana, there's more. More. That word landed hard. You and your husband signed an addendum, he continued. After Daniel turned 18. I closed my eyes. Memory stirred. A rainy afternoon. A pen. My husband saying, just in case. It states, the lawyer said carefully, that no spouse of Daniel's can make claims on the property without your written consent. My breath caught. And I whispered. And, he said, that consent was never given. I sat down slowly. The room felt different now. Not smaller. Sharper. When Daniel came home, I asked him to sit. No anger. No tears. Just facts. Did you sign anything? I asked. He shook his head. No. Did she? I continued. He hesitated. I don't know. I nodded. That was enough. She entered the room mid-conversation. What's going on? She asked lightly. I looked at her. Really looked. And for the first time, I saw calculation give way to uncertainty. There's something you should know, I said calmly. She crossed her arms, defensive again. You don't need to worry about paperwork, she replied. We've handled it. Handled? I almost laughed. Actually, I said, you haven't. She frowned. Daniel looked between us. What do you mean? I stood, walked to the cabinet, pulled out a single document, placed it on the table. She leaned forward. Read the heading. Her lips parted slightly. Then she froze. That's not, she started. I held up a finger. Read it carefully. The room was silent except for the paper shifting beneath her hands. Her face changed, color draining, eyes scanning faster. That signature, I said quietly, is my husband's. Daniel's brow furrowed. Dad signed that. Yes, I said, because he knew something I didn't want to believe. She swallowed. This is outdated, she said quickly. Things change. Yes, I agreed. People do. She straightened. This doesn't mean anything, she snapped. We're married. I tilted my head. And I'm still alive. Daniel stood abruptly. Wait, he said. Are you saying? I'm saying, I interrupted gently, that plans were made without the one signature that mattered. Silence crashed down. Heavy. Unavoidable. For the first time since she entered my life. She said nothing. That night, I heard them arguing. Voices low. Urgent. Doors closing. A drawer slammed. She packed a bag. Just overnight, she said. Needed space. Perspective. As she left, she stopped at the door. Turned back. Met my eyes. And for the first time, there was no mask. You think this is over? She asked quietly. I shook my head. No, I said. I think it's finally honest. The door closed. Daniel stayed. Sat beside me. Silent. Lost. I didn't know, he said after a long while. I placed my hand over his. I know, I said. And that was the most painful truth of all. Because betrayal doesn't always come from cruelty. Sometimes it comes from weakness. Later that night, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Just one sentence. You've embarrassed me. This isn't finished. I stared at the screen. Heart steady. Hands calm. I typed back. Neither am I. I had expected silence. I had expected distance. But I did not expect the truth to hit like a storm. It was Saturday morning. The sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, but my house felt heavy. Tense. Waiting. Daniel was quiet over breakfast. His coffee untouched. His fork idle. I watched him, knowing he was thinking about her. Mom, he said finally, voice low. She's different lately. I raised an eyebrow. She's always different, I said. But different can be dangerous. He looked down, shame flickering across his face. I never wanted to see her like this, he whispered. It wasn't until later that afternoon that the first crack appeared. She called, her voice light, casual. Too casual. I wanted to drop by, she said, just to check in. I had already decided what to do. I didn't answer. Then Daniel spoke up. She's outside, he said. Should I tell her to come in? I looked at him. Calm. Controlled. But only if she's ready to be honest, I said. 5 minutes later, she walked in. Hands empty. Eyes sharp. Smile practiced. Mom, Daniel said nervously. She just wants to talk. I nodded. Good. Let's see the mask drop. She started with compliments. Praise for my cooking. Praise for my home. Praise for my patience. Every word calculated. Every smile polished. I nodded politely. Listened. Waited. And then it happened. The first slip. A sigh. A hesitation. A glance at Daniel that said, I don't know what to do anymore. I leaned forward slightly. You look tired, I said softly. Tired of pretending? Her eyes widened. She blinked quickly. And then, the mask slipped. For the first time, I saw her fear. Not loud. Not dramatic. Subtle. Her hands trembled slightly. Her posture faltered. Her words stumbled. And that's all it took. You don't understand, she said quietly. I didn't expect this to be so complicated. Daniel froze. What do you mean? He asked. You've been planning this for months. She swallowed. Yes, but I didn't think Nana would. I interrupted gently. She would, I said. She always does. And you forgot that history matters more than plans. Her face paled. Her hands tightened. The illusion of control gone. Daniel looked at me then, really looked. His eyes open wide, seeing his wife in a way he hadn't before. No smiles, no practiced politeness, just fear and hesitation. You've been manipulating him, I said quietly. You've been erasing the past to create a version of reality you can control. But reality doesn't bend to wishes. Her lips pressed together. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to, I said calmly. And now you see the consequences. She looked down, ashamed, frustrated, vulnerable. And in that moment, I knew allies had shifted. Daniel stepped closer. You lied, he said. Not just to Mom, to me. Tears filled his eyes. But I didn't see it. I couldn't see it. Her voice was small. I didn't know how to handle it. You handled it wrong, Daniel said firmly. And now you have to face the truth. I stayed quiet, watching, because this was no longer about me. It was about him seeing her clearly, and about her seeing herself. The next hour was surreal. She admitted everything, every plan, every whisper, every attempt to isolate me. I thought I was helping, she said finally. I thought I was protecting, but I went too far. Daniel shook his head. And you hurt everyone instead. Finally, she looked at me. Mom, I'm sorry, she whispered. I let the words hang. No quick forgiveness. No relief. Just acknowledgement. Because apologies without understanding are meaningless. That night, Daniel stayed by my side. We need to rebuild, he said quietly. Together. Honestly. I nodded. Yes, I said. But boundaries have to be respected. And lessons learned. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. Not because she apologized. Not because she admitted her mistakes. But because the truth had finally surfaced. And as I looked at Daniel, I realized something important. Power doesn't come from fear. It comes from knowledge. And knowing your worth is the strongest power of all. I had prepared for many things. Her insults, her manipulation, her attempts to control my son. But nothing could prepare me for the moment the truth hit the room like a storm. It was a Sunday evening. I had asked Daniel to gather the family, not for a conversation, not for reconciliation, for exposure. The living room was quiet, everyone seated, the air thick, expectant. Her mother was there, Daniel's sister, even a neighbor she had invited, unaware of the tension under the surface. She arrived last, smiling, clueless, confident, thinking she had already won. I stood in front of the group, holding the folder. Every eye turned to me. Before anyone says anything, I began, I want to be clear. This isn't gossip. This isn't opinion. This is truth. She laughed lightly. You sound dramatic, she said, tilting her head. I ignored her. I opened the folder, pulled out the documents, the emails, the printed notes. Her confidence faltered. She glanced at Daniel. He looked tense. I have in front of me, I continued, all the evidence of a plan that excluded me from my own home, manipulated my son, and attempted to erase me from this family. Her lips pressed together, the first sign of fear. And yet, I said softly, I am still here. Daniel leaned forward. You're being reasonable, he whispered. I shook my head. No, I'm being honest. She opened her mouth. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Stop, I said. Every word, every action was deliberate. Her mother looked uneasy. She's young, she said quietly. She just wanted to do what's best for the family. I turned to her. No, what she wanted was control. And she got sloppy. All eyes shifted to her. I held her gaze. You believed that by pretending, by erasing me, you could claim what was mine. She swallowed. The room was silent. Even Daniel didn't interrupt. Then came the secret, the one she never wanted anyone to know. Her mother's slip. You forgot something, she said quietly. You should know about her past. I raised an eyebrow. What past? I asked. Her mother hesitated. I didn't think it mattered. Daniel's face tightened. I'll say it, I said calmly. Everyone deserves the truth. It was revealed then. The family secret she had carried like armor. A history of manipulation, of betrayal in her previous relationships. A trail of broken trust that she had never disclosed. And now it was laid bare in front of the people she wanted to impress. Gasps, murmurs, the weight of her past crashing down. She went pale. Her carefully curated confidence shattered. She had been exposed. Daniel's voice trembled. "Why didn't you tell me?" She began. But I cut her off. "You didn't tell anyone because you thought deception was stronger than honesty. Because you believed that hiding the truth could protect you or give you power." Her mother lowered her eyes. "I didn't know it would come to this," she whispered. I nodded slowly. "No one does. Until someone stops pretending." Daniel stood. "Mom, I'm sorry," he said quietly. I didn't see it at first." I reached out, placing my hand on his. "It's not too late to see clearly. It's not too late to choose truth over appearances." Her daughter-in-law trembled. Finally, she spoke, voice low. I didn't realize how much I hurt you, how much I underestimated you." I smiled faintly. "You never should have." The room went silent, and in that silence the truth settled. Not just in words, but in presence. That night, I realized something profound. Power isn't about fear. It's about knowledge. It's about integrity. And the courage to stand when everyone else expects you to sit. I turned to Daniel. "Tomorrow," I said, "we rebuild this family. Honestly. With respect. Or we rebuild it without pretense." He nodded. Finally, he understood. The last look I gave her said everything. "You overplayed your hand. And this time, the lesson is irreversible." The house was quiet. Too quiet. After the confrontation, after the truth spilled, after Daniel finally saw her for who she really was, silence fell like a blanket over the room. I walked through the living room slowly. Every photograph on the wall, every memory felt heavier. I realized then, power doesn't come from anger. It comes from presence. And I had it. Daniel approached me. "Mom, what now?" I paused. "Now," I said softly, "we decide how to move forward." She stood in the corner, silent, a mixture of fear and defiance in her eyes. I want to fix this," she whispered. I tilted my head. "Fix what?" I asked. "Your reputation? Your position in my family? Or your own conscience?" Her voice cracked. I don't know anymore." Daniel swallowed. "I need you to leave for now," he said quietly. "Let's think clearly." She nodded, and for the first time, she left willingly. The house felt lighter, freer, like the weight of lies had finally been lifted. But even in that relief, I knew one thing. The game wasn't over. Later that night, I sat in the study. I opened the folder, the emails, the documents, the proofs, and then I found something I hadn't seen before. A letter, handwritten, folded neatly, not from her, not from Daniel, from someone else, someone who had been watching. The words on the paper made my blood run cold. "She thinks she's won, but the past always catches up. Be careful. A friend." I dropped the letter, stared at the wall. Tears pricked my eyes, not from fear, but from realization. Someone else knew. Someone else had been moving pieces in secret. And they weren't done yet. Daniel came in, sensing the shift in mood. "What is it?" he asked. I held up the letter. He read it slowly. His face paled. "Mom, this isn't just about her," he whispered. This involves someone else entirely." I nodded. "Yes, and I think it's time we uncover the rest before it's too late." A sudden knock at the door startled us. No one had a key. No one was supposed to come this late. Daniel opened it, and there she was. Not her. Someone new. A stranger with a cold smile. "I believe you have something that belongs to me," the woman said quietly, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Daniel froze. I clenched my fists, because now the stakes were higher. Everything I thought I had resolved was only the beginning. This wasn't about boundaries anymore, or humiliation, or even deception. It was about legacy, power, and survival. The stranger placed a small box on the table, a box I recognized immediately. Inside documents, old family secrets, financial statements I had never seen, proof of hidden alliances. "You should have been careful," she said softly, assuming the past was dead, assuming no one else was watching. Daniel looked at me, fear and uncertainty in his eyes. I smiled faintly, not because I was unafraid, but because I was ready. "Yes," I said, calm and steady. "The past always catches up." But it also teaches you who the real players are. The stranger tilted her head, amused. I look forward to seeing how you handle this. And just like that, she left. The door clicked behind her. Silence returned, but it was different now. I looked at Daniel. This isn't over, I said, and it will never be easy. But I promise you this. No one will ever underestimate us again. He nodded slowly, a mix of fear, awe, and relief. I walked to the window. The city lights flickered below, and in that moment I realized the story was far from finished. The battles were only beginning.